Welcome to episode number 263, where I'm looking at the Ayurvedic view on menstrual disorders, and I cover scanty, irregular, and the total absence of the menstrual cycle, along with abnormally heavy, prolonged, and painful periods, and what happens when we're bleeding between cycles. So please stay tuned. Welcome to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm your host, Colette, and I hope to educate and empower you to take charge of your health and well-being, preventing disease in the body and mind so that you can thrive in life. I will be sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, which is the ancient healing tradition from India. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend listening to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. And if you like the content, please be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast so the new episodes will automatically download for you. Also, you may want to check out my private Elements community, which is away from social media. It's a safe space for like-minded people to come together, to connect, to share, to support each other, and to continue the conversation from the podcast episodes. Check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and just click on the community tab. And I hope to connect with you there. Thanks for listening. And now here's a new episode. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today it's a solo episode with me, Colette, and I'm going to talk about the Ayurvedic view on menstrual disorders. In episode number 256, I talked about the menstrual cycle, the doshas involved at different stages of the cycle, and the gunas or qualities that you may experience throughout your cycle. I discussed how when the doshas are in balance, the menstrual cycle will be regular and free of any physical or emotional discomfort, and that PMS or pre-menstrual syndrome are signs of aggravation in the doshas or the gunas, the qualities. And I talked about how to use the principle of opposites to pacify any imbalances with the gunas or qualities. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I recommend checking out episode number 256. In this episode today, I'm going to cover other menstrual cycle disorders besides from PMS. And they are Hypomenorrhea, Oligomenorrhea, Amenorrhea, Menhorrhagia, Metrorrhagia, and Dysmenorrhea. A lot of medical terms there, but I'm going to break them down for you now. Starting with Hypomenorrhea, which refers to light flow in your cycle. When the flow is scanty, but the cycle is still regular. So, for example, this is when the menstrual bleeding lasts for 2 days or less. An oligomenorrhea is a condition where the blood flow is irregular in that more than 35 days apart, and it remains irregular or inconsistent. And amenorrhea is the total absence of menstruation. Now, these three menstrual disorders have many potential causes, some of which may include constitutional imbalances, such as imbalances of the doshas, hormonal imbalances, low body fat, over-exercising, or stress. According to Ayurveda, these menstrual disorders can be a result of an aggravation of vata due to overstretching our system beyond its threshold, leading to depletion. So again, this may be a result of over-exercising or just too much stress on the body. However, it can also be caused by our agni or our digestive fire not working efficiently, leading to an accumulation of ama or toxins in the body. And this in turn can cause blocked channels and aggravation of the vata dosha, as now the vata cannot move freely. And we know that one of the functions of the Vata dosha is movement in the body. So Vata gets aggravated when it cannot move freely, when it is blocked, and it can be blocked by this accumulation of ama or toxins in the body. If you want to know if you have an accumulation of ama or toxins in the body, then just check out the short quiz on the homepage of my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. I'll take you through a few quick questions, and that will help you understand if you have an accumulation of toxins. I'll also put that link in the show notes so you can check it out there also. Now let's follow this path of aggravation a little further. As we know in Ayurveda, the quality of our health is determined by our digestive fire, or Agni. When Agni is impaired, it results in undigested food, which leads to ama or toxins being produced. This ama can accumulate in the body and then can travel throughout the body, causing problems which can lead to aggravations and dis-ease. Ahara rasa is the elemental juice created from the food we eat, and it is formed within 12 hours after food is eaten. This elemental juice produced from the food we eat nourishes all the 7 tissues of the body. Now, if you're not familiar with this process, I recommend checking out podcast episode number 92 called Ayurvedic Nutrition of the Dhatus, where I go into detail on this process. Rasa dhatu is the first tissue of the body which is nourished by this ahara rasa, this elemental juice. The transformation of ahara rasa, the elemental juice, to rasa dhatu takes 5 days. Now, rasa dhatu is our plasma in the body, and this is the vehicle for nourishment, and it carries hormones, vitamins, minerals, and water throughout the body. When the rasa dhatu is healthy, the body is well nourished, and the byproducts of rasa dhatu flow freely. And the byproducts, or upadhatus as they're called in Sanskrit, of the rasa dhatu are menstrual fluid and breast milk. Now, if our Agni is impaired, and that leads to an accumulation of ama or toxins accumulating in the rasa dhatu, it affects the functioning of the tissue Agni, or the digestive fire of that tissue. And remember that we do have one central Agni in the stomach, Jathara Agni, and each of the 7 tissues has its own Agni. Therefore, the function of rasa tissue or plasma, which is nourishment of the body, will be affected if ama accumulates. When the rasa agni is high, the rasa dhatu or tissue becomes dry. In that increased rasa dhatu agni decreases the rasa dhatu and its byproducts or upadhatu. So it decreases the menstrual fluid and breast milk. They dry up. They do not flow freely. And this can result in the menstrual disorders of Hypomenorrhea and Oligomenorrhea. So you can see that problems in the tissues and the menstrual cycle can result from a problem with the Agni or digestive fires of the body. This is why Ayurveda focuses on the health of our Agnis, which is of paramount importance to our overall health. If the first tissue rasa is suboptimal, then all the subsequent tissues will be affected. And the final or 7th tissue of the body are the reproductive tissues of Shukra, the male reproductive tissue, and Artava, the female reproductive tissue, which take approximately 35 days to be formed. If there is decreased Artava, or female reproductive tissue, it can result in no ovulation, and as a result, no menstrual cycle or amenorrhea. The byproduct or upadhatu of this final tissue, the reproductive tissues, is ojas. And ojas is our vital energy reserve or immunity, and it's considered to be the end product of a healthy digestive system. And when ojas is plentiful, it promotes mental and physical strength, endurance, good memory, strong immunity, and healthy reproductive tissue. So again, we see the importance of the health of our agnis, or digestive fire. That's why Ayurveda says we are what we digest, not just what we eat. The three menstrual disorders of hypomenorrhea, scanty periods, or oligomenorrhea, irregular periods, and amenorrhea, the total absence of a period, are managed by first determining the root of the imbalance. In that, is it stress in the body leading to depletion and aggravating the vata dosha? And or is it an accumulation of ama leading to blocked channels resulting in aggravating vata and kapha doshas? Once the causative factors are determined, then it's important to bring the agnis, the doshas, particularly vata and kapha dosha, back into balance, rejuvenating the body and stimulating the system, along with looking at dietary and lifestyle adjustments, so that these menstrual disorders do not reoccur. To keep the doshas balanced and rasa dhatu healthy, it's important to stay well hydrated, well nourished, eating regular meals that are warm, easy to digest, with digestive spices and with good fats, avoiding heavy foods, highly processed foods, and incompatible foods. And I covered incompatible food combinations in podcast episode number 26. So check that out if you're not familiar with that. Of course, we have to manage stress and make sure that we're not overstressing our body by over-exercising, overworking, and maybe due to a lack of sleep. All of these play a very important role in the proper functioning of our agni or digestive fire. Now, a great way to remove any accumulation of ama in the body, stimulate the agnis and balance the doshas, and rejuvenate the body is with a supervised panchakarma. It's important for a panchakarma to be supervised. However, if you can't go to an Ayurvedic clinic or Ayurvedic resort for a panchakarma, then you could opt for an at-home tailored cleanse. And I hesitate to say the word cleanse here, as oftentimes a cleanse is assumed to be a fast or a strict diet. However, in this case, it's important for a cleanse to be tailored, as for these menstrual disorders, the cleanse should focus on rejuvenation of the agni, the tissues, and the overall well-being of the individual. Now, if you're looking for support, I offer tailored at-home cleanses, which come with a 90-minute online consultation so that I can understand your current health status and tailor the food, the self-care, and the mindfulness practices to you. I offer private cleanses, which you can do at any time and choose your own dates, or I have a discounted group cleanse starting January 27th, 2023. Both the private and the group cleanse come with a 90-minute online consultation, and the structure is the same for both the private and the group format. The difference is that with a private cleanse, you get to choose your own dates, and you get to have me one-on-one for support. And in the group cleanse, the start date is fixed to January 27th, 2023 in this case, and you will have access to a community forum where you will receive group support. For further information, you can visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and you'll find the group cleanse under the events tab. And for the private cleanse, you can look under the programs tab. I'll also put that link in the show notes. Taking a moment out here to bring you a word from our sponsor, Mount Madonna Institute. The mission of Mount Madonna Institute is to educate and empower future health professionals. Their Level 1 Ayurvedic Health Counselor program is the perfect entry into professional Ayurvedic training, and it is the gateway to becoming an Ayurvedic yoga therapist. The Health Counselor training focuses on preventive and mind-body health care. Classes are held in person and online, and this program starts January 2023. And you can receive $100 off this program if you register before November 30th using the discount code ELEMENTS22. See the show notes or visit mountmadonnainstitute.org for further details. Okay, let's go back to my discussion on menstrual cycle disorders. And I'm going to move on to Menhorrhagia. And this is a condition where the person has an abnormally heavy menstruation, and it may be a prolonged menstruation also. This can be accompanied by fatigue and, of course, anemia due to the excessive loss of blood. There can be many causative factors here, some of which may be hormonal imbalance, abnormal blood clotting, disorders of the uterus or ovaries, stress, diet, and lifestyle factors may also result in this condition. Now, Menhorrhagia can be a result of a pitta aggravation and an imbalance of the Rakta Dhatu, which is the second tissue which is nourished by rasa, the elemental juice we talked about earlier, and it is formed after 10 days. Rakta Dhatu is the red blood cells, our blood, and it has the function of giving life as it transports nutrients from the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract, to the cells of the body. And the Upadhatu, or the byproduct of the Rakta Dhatu, are tendons and blood vessels. Now, when Rakta Dhatu is increased, it can result in aggravated pitta symptoms such as bleeding and excess menstrual flow, and it can also result in decreased ojas. In this condition, it's important to kindle the Dhatu Agni, so the Rakta Dhatu Agni, and to improve the quality of rasa and Rakta Dhatus, because remember, the first tissue, Rasa Dhatu, also nourishes Rakta Dhatu, which is the second tissue. It's important to have professional advice and tailored treatment here. However, in the meantime, it will be best to implement a pitta pacifying diet, so avoiding pungent, salty and sour foods, avoiding coffee and alcohol, and living in tune with the circadian rhythms along with stress management, which is really important. If you're not familiar with the circadian rhythms, check out my podcast episode number 8, where I go into detail on that. The next menstrual disorder I want to look at is Metrorrhagia. Now, this is a condition where bleeding occurs between periods, bleeding that's unrelated to the menstrual cycle. The causes can be numerous. However, hormonal balance can be a reason for this dysfunctional uterine bleeding, and stress, which of course is a factor in all these menstrual disorders, as we can see. Now, similar to the condition of Menhorrhagia, which I just discussed, this condition is related to increased Rakta Dhatu, the second tissue of the body, which is the red blood cells, and aggravated Pitta dosha. Therefore, again, pacifying Pitta, managing stress, and improving the quality of the Rasa and Rakta Dhatu is also important here. The final menstrual disorder I want to discuss is Dysmenorrhea. And this is a condition where pain is experienced during menstruation in the lower abdomen, and it can radiate to the lower back. The pain may be sharp, it may be throbbing or dull, burning, or it may be moving pain. And the type of pain will be determined by which dosha or doshas are aggravated. So, for example, aggravated vata can result in moving pain throughout the body, going from the lower abdomen to the back. Aggravated pitta can result in sharp or burning pain, and aggravated kapha can result in a dull pain. Along with the pain, there may also be nausea, diarrhea or constipation, headaches, dizziness, fainting, hypersensitivity, and fatigue. Now, this condition is primarily associated with a vata aggravation, as vata is responsible for all movement in the body, including the movement of the menstrual fluid out of the body. It is thought that when the muscles of the uterus contract harder than normal at the start of the menstrual cycle in order to excrete the thickened lining, that these contractions may also reduce blood flow to the uterus, which makes the pain worse. Therefore, balancing the vata dosha will aid in the management of dysmenorrhea, and this is best done by focusing on food, lifestyle, stress management, and implementing self-care practices and a structure of daily routines to help support the Vata dosha. Now, you may find that this condition increases during the Vata season, the cooler months, the cooler, drier months, or when you're under increased stress, because this, of course, can promote Vata aggravation. And I recommend checking out episode number 45, Staying Balanced during the Vata season, for further guidance on this. And a simple tip to alleviate the pain in the moment of having this discomfort is to have a herbal tea with cumin or chamomile or fennel or peppermint, as all of these can help to ease pain because they have antispasmodic qualities which prevent and relieve muscle spasms. Now, as I said previously, there may be other doshas involved here. And so, as I always say, it's important to get professional tailored information and to look at the causative factors so that you know how to manage this condition and ideally prevent it from reoccurring again. Of course, if you want individual tailored support, reach out to me, and you can always book a free 15-minute services inquiry call on Zoom if you want to chat in advance of booking. Throughout this discussion on menstrual disorders, we see that stress can play a huge role in all these conditions, as stress or overstretching the body beyond its threshold leads to depletion and an aggravation of the Vata dosha. Therefore, management of stress should be a priority for all of us in today's world. Stress, of course, can manifest for various reasons. In Ayurveda, we learn that stress can manifest when we're out of tune with nature and the daily energy cycles of the circadian rhythm. If you're looking for support and further education on this, then you may be interested in my Daily Habits for a Holistic Health program. And this program is ideal for those of you who wish to study by yourself and in your own time, as this is an online 28-day self-paced program where I cover how to structure your day to flow with the daily energy cycles or the circadian rhythm rather than going against it and suffering. I also talk about the mental gunas or qualities and how to maintain positive mental health. I talk about the foundations of Ayurvedic healing and how to become your own healer by using that principle of opposites I mentioned earlier. And I also talk about connecting to your true nature and your intuition to help guide you in living a positive and fulfilling life, because this is really the journey of Ayurveda. It's the journey of self-realization. This 28-day self-paced program includes a short daily webinar, which is about 10 to 15 minutes. And this provides education and guidance on implementing positive practices into your life. And of course, because the program is self-paced, you don't have to do this each day. You can decide on the schedule you want. It also includes yoga videos tailored to each dosha type. There's meditation tutorials, affirmations and visualizations for each dosha type. There's pranayama or breath practice tutorials for different breathing practices to suit each dosha type. And there's worksheets to track your progress as well. So lots of support there. But as with this journey with Ayurveda, it's really important to tune into your body, to be curious about it, and to listen to those subtle signals it's giving you in these imbalances, and catching these imbalances at an early stage before they manifest into a more serious illness down the line. And this wisdom can really help us connect with our true self, prevent disease, and help us in living a positive and fulfilling life. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode was beneficial to you. If you think that this episode would be beneficial to friends or family, please share it with them, particularly if they're suffering with any of these menstrual disorders. It'll help them understand that they don't have to continue suffering, that there's a way to alleviate this discomfort and to prevent these imbalances going forward. Also, if you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so the new episodes will automatically download for you. And if you would like to rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, I would really appreciate that. You can find me on social media under Elements Healing and Wellbeing on Facebook and Instagram. And you can check out all my online services on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and you'll also find that link in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. And until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.